Getting very gusty here through the night as well. Temperatures mostly holding up a few degrees above freezing. On to Friday, it's looking a little drier, certainly initially for Northern Ireland, but a wet start for the south of Wales, much of southeast England. Soggy again for most of Scotland. A rain warning remains in place, although, as I said, increasingly over the hills turning to snow. Over the Western Highlands, actually, for many it'll be dry through much of Friday. Some sunny spells here, but a cold, blustery wind bringing in the feed from the North Sea, bringing in the cloud and the rain, and the winds picking up in the southwest, as I said, through the night. A blustery day for southwest England and South Wales. A wet start for South Wales. That band of rain moves northwards, and then a whole host of more showers come in here too. The ground is saturated, so extra rain hasn't really got anywhere to go. A lot of spray, a lot of surface water on the roads through the course of tomorrow afternoon and through the evening rush hour. That rain moving into northern England and Northern Ireland. Something a bit drier in between, as I said, with some shelter. Northwest Scotland not doing bad for dry weather during the course of tomorrow. It's a similar picture on Saturday. We've still got low pressure nearby, gusty winds, plenty of showers for Wales and southwest England. Continued risk of flooding here, as there is in eastern Scotland, as the wet weather continues, and still further snow on the hills, and still a brisk wind, making it feel chilly. All the weather warnings on the Met Office website.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News every week.
You're not only watching and listening to our programmes, you're becoming part of them too.
Good evening. This is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. Use extra care on the M90 Friarton Bridge, where high winds are making driving conditions difficult. On the M4 westbound, there is slow-moving traffic between Junction 22 at Pilning and the Prince of Wales Bridge, and Junction 23 at Rogier. In Cumbria, the A590 westbound is closed in both directions after a crash between the A5074 and the A592. And on the trains, Avanti West Coast has disruption around Watford Junction, and Great Western Railway is replacing trains with road transport between Liskeard and Looe. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
An incredible £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours.
Hi, I'm Jane. I won £54,321 with the Great British Giveaway. Oh, definitely please enter. It is real, and that one text has just made my life 100% better.
For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to
stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
A very, very good evening to you, and welcome to GB News Tonight with me, your host, Martin Daubney. Coming up on tonight's action-packed show.
To go after the criminal gangs, to smash the gang networks.
To smash the smuggling gangs.
Smash the gangs.
To smash the gangs.
Yes, the Labour government has begun moving more than 500 migrants into Crowborough military barracks in a bid to move away from its migrant hotel regime. But we'll be going live to Crowborough in just a moment's time to see just how furious the local residents are about this decision. And meanwhile,
Andy Burnham is doing an excellent job as Mayor of Manchester. We work very closely together.
yeah, the former Labour MP Andrew Gwynn has resigned from his central Manchester seat, paving the way for what could be an epic challenge to Sir Keir Starmer from Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham, also on tonight's show.
Mr. Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, has decided that he wants to give the Chagos Islands, with our military base, to Mauritius.
Yes, as Sir Keir Starmer is lambasted on the United States Senate floor over the Chagos deal. Reports are suggesting that the Trump administration is considering cutting intelligence, sharing with the UK as it goes ahead. Could there be trouble ahead for Sir Keir Starmer on the Chagos Islands? And finally,
that man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on. Get out of my pub.
an epic moment from the lockdown. And for tonight's finale, I'll be joined by the landlord there who famously ejected Sir Keir Starmer from his boozer in Bath, who has now told the press today he'd banned Sir Keir Starmer all over again. That's all to come on tonight's action-packed show, but first is news headlines with Sam Francis.
Very good evening to you from the newsroom just after 7 o'clock. The top story tonight, Donald Trump has insisted things are calming down as he appeared alongside world leaders at the launch of his so-called Board of Peace today. But Britain has chosen not to sign up, distancing itself from the initiative amid concerns about Russian involvement in the proposal. The Home Secretary Yvette Cooper told MPs the UK would instead work with allies on what she described as a different supportive role, particularly around efforts to secure peace in Gaza. The Foreign Secretary, meanwhile, says the UK does back the President's wider 20-point peace plan for the Middle East, even as it keeps its distance from today's ceremony. While repeating his familiar claims, Mr. Trump said the world is seeing progress, insisting multiple wars have already been settled, with another one coming soon.
And, of course, the war in Gaza, which is really coming to an end. We have little fires that we'll put out, but they're little. They were giant, massive fires, and now they're down to little fires. And many have said that if Hamas doesn't do what they promised they would do, and I think they probably will, but they were born with rifles in their hands, they were literally born. The first day they had a rifle put into their hands, but they have to give up their weapons, and if they don't do that, it's going to be the end of them.
In other news, the Home Secretary says Britain should never have housed asylum seekers in hotels. That as the first migrants have moved into a former military barracks in East Sussex. 27 men have arrived at Crowborough training camp with plans for the site to eventually house up to 500 people as the government tries to phase out hotel use. Shabana Mahmood says using military sites is essential to fixing what she described as a costly and a chaotic system, and has vowed to defend the decision against any legal challenge. But the move has sparked anger locally, with the council there considering court action and residents raising concerns. Ministers insist hotel use is already falling and say that this marks a turning point in asylum accommodation. A by-election is now firmly on the horizon in Greater Manchester, and it could clear a way back for Westminster, for Andy Burnham. Former Labour Minister Andrew Gwynn has confirmed he will stand down as MP for Gorton and Denton for medical reasons. Mr Gwynn was previously sacked from government and suspended from the Labour Party over racist and sexist WhatsApp messages. Asked whether he would support Burnham running in a by-election, the Prime Minister declined to comment, saying the party would decide the process. Mr Burnham, meanwhile, says he's in the dark about any plans and insists he remains focused on Greater Manchester. Well, the row over Greenland is cooling and the focus is now turning to what happens next. Today at Chagos, Sir Keir Starmer met Denmark's Prime Minister just a day after Donald Trump dropped his threat of tariffs linked to Greenland. Sir Keir Starmer said that a U-turn was a good thing after weeks of tension that brought the US and Europe close to a trade war, and said the priority now is practical cooperation on Arctic security.
Now we can get on with the job of rolling up our sleeves and answering the question, how do we improve security in the Arctic, which everybody agrees with. We will do that in the way we've got through the last few days from a UK point of view, which is with British pragmatism, British common sense, and a British adherence and sticking to our values and principles.
That is the news on GB News. More from me at 8 o'clock. Now, though, it's over to Westminster and Martin.
Thank you, Sam, and hello and welcome to GB News Tonight with me, your host tonight, Martin Dorby. Now, astonishing scenes early today as residents of Crowborough in East Sussex, they took to the streets to protest against the government's decision to begin moving more than 500 illegal immigrants into army barracks in their constituency, with another site in Inverness in Scotland set to be used as well. Now, remember, this was, of course, the very site about which the Green Party's deputy leader, Rachel Millward, said this.
The stories from the Home Office staff of the asylum seekers in other sites, they're talking about surgeons and doctors and lawyers, people who come from Eritrea or Afghanistan.
Yeah, no illegals in my backyard. What NIMBYs these people are. Now, we all knew these migrants entering the barracks were actually doctors, lawyers and surgeons. Well, the Home Secretary, beg your pardon, Shabana Mahmood, said this today. Illegal migration has been placing immense pressure on communities, and that is why we are removing the incentives that draw illegal migrants to Britain, closing asylum hotels that are blighting communities. But listen to this. She added, Crowborough is just the start. I will bring forward site after site until every asylum hotel is closed and returned to local communities. Now that begs the question. If Crowborough is merely the start, then it seems there is even more of this madness to come. Well, let's now go straight to my guest who's in the area. That is a local campaigner by the name of Gaz. Gaz, welcome to the show. GB News has been in your area all afternoon. You're there in the crucible of the action, as it were. There's a huge amount of confusion and frustration and anger in Crowborough because, let's face it, they were sneaked into this barracks in the middle of the night with a full police escort. You weren't told, you weren't consulted. How are you feeling?
Absolutely disgusted. I am disgusted with Wealdon Council, disgusted with the Home Office, and I absolutely feel for the Crowborough community. Been totally let down over the whole process for the last 12 weeks.
The whole point about this is that the Green councillor for your area initially was saying, well, they're all surgeons, they're all doctors. What are we afraid of? Soon did a U-turn when it was pointed out it would be in her constituency. But on the broader point, you're one of the organisers, I understand, Gaz, of the protest. Is this once again a feeling that the government is completely and utterly out of touch?
It's just been an abysmal thing from start to finish. As you say, there's no doctors, there's no nurses, there's nothing of any importance. They shouldn't be here. You know, they're moving in from hotels just into another problem, and it's a problem that's right on the borderline of our town, and we're not accepting it.
And Gaz, the point is, a lot of people don't understand that when they say an army barracks, it's actually an open site. There's no containment, there's no even fence, and it backs onto people's gardens where you live.
Exactly, there's a lot of residents down there. The site was initially used in 1954 for the army. That stopped in the 80s and that was turned over to the cadets. And obviously, as everyone knows by now, that they've been kicked out of the home that they've had for years. And it's absolutely disgusting. There's residents down there that are actually fearful now. They're getting no backing from the police, they're not getting any backing from the authorities. And the town are scared now. As you say, that they're not contained, they're free to roam as they wish, and it's just not good enough.
And it's worth pointing out, Gaz, as is the norm now, that the people in this centre, they're all men, they're all young men. And that gives people in your area a lot of concerns. What kind of concerns are residents telling you, Gaz, about these individuals being imported into your constituency?
Well, because they're unvetted. Nobody knows who they are. They don't know any of their history. And speaking to a lot of the residents like we do, there are people that want to pull their kids out of schools. There's women, there's people that don't want to go and walk their dogs anymore. There's minimal lighting down there. There's 2 bus stops right outside the camp. Now there's a lot of parents which they've got to let their kids to go to school, whether it's Uckfield, Tunbridge Wells, Crowborough, and they're all fearful now. I don't blame them, because if you listen to other areas, Portsmouth, Crawley, they're all going through the same problem. And it doesn't matter what everyone says, it is a fact that the sexual attacks are on the increase, and they are linked to the migrant population, and it's just not fair on the communities.
And Gaz, another point, we had a Conservative councillor on my show earlier on. Simple things, important things, like access to GP appointments. Of course, the residents on site will have a full en-suite healthcare service, but as I understand it, it's very difficult for residents such as yourself to even get a GP appointment.
They already can't get a GP appointment, so they've got absolutely no chance now. So it'll just be a case of they'll take priority. I mean, they've got their own medical centre on site, as well as all their facilities they need. And then the ordinary people here that need to get to a doctor can't do that now, so they'll be pushed to go to the hospitals, which puts even more pressure on them. You know, these are services that all the local community have paid for out of their taxes, and it's just being ripped away from them.
And Gaz, I can hear people honking their horns as they go past. We've been there all throughout the afternoon. There's huge local support. As I understand it, you guys aren't going anywhere. You're digging in. You're in for the long haul.
Absolutely not. We've been doing this for 12 weeks now out of nothing. The support of this town is amazing. You know, we've hit 4,000 people coming out on a Sunday, and that's through all weathers, through the snow, through the rain, and that is how much this town means to everybody here. Everybody is fearful, everybody's looking after each other, and I'll tell you one thing this has actually done for the good of the town is it's brought everyone together. You come out on a Sunday, and I'll challenge you to come down, come and join us, because you will make friends on the way. It's a fantastic bunch of people, and this is what it's all about. We brought everyone together, but it's all for the right reason, that everyone wants their families to be safe, and this just isn't good enough from, like I say, the government, who just don't care. Nobody's given us any sort of information. We've had to find it out from ourselves, and it's just a shocking state of affairs from top to bottom.
Gaz, thank you very much for joining us on this cold and dark night. Thanks for your passion. I appreciate that. I sincerely do. Best of luck to you, and thanks for your time tonight here on GB News Tonight. Well, I'm joined now in my panel for some reaction to this astonishing story. I'm joined by the former Attorney General, Sir Michael Ellis, and also the founder of Blue Labour, Lord Maurice Glassman. Gentlemen, welcome. Lord Glassman, I should turn to you first. This is clearly a terrible situation for people in Crowborough, beg your pardon. And I just want to repeat the statement from Shabana Mahmood, and I think she's completely and utterly got this wrong. Listen to this. Crowborough is just the start. I will bring forward site after site until every asylum hotel is closed and returned to local communities. Lord Glassman, she doesn't get it. It's not about getting the hotels emptied. It's about not letting these people in the country in the first place. This was a disaster for Rishi Sunak, and it's an even bigger disaster for this Labour government.
Yeah, it's not just about getting them, it's about not allowing them in. I mean, and also about deportation. I mean, one thing we've learned from the Trump administration this year is that you can do things. I mean, they've actually done this. Now, what we've got is a situation now in the country where there is a huge consensus that stop the boats, deport the migrants. I mean, deal with it. So this is just, you can't just splodge it around and move it about.
But that's what Shabana Mahmood is doing.
Yeah, well, she's working within the constraints. What we need to see is a very strong...
You just said Trump can do it. Why can't the Labour government do it? Get on with the job.
This is what I'm saying. They've got to get to grips with this. Now, I've long advocated for putting the Navy into the Channel. I've just got back from Ukraine, where they've got the drones that could target each boat and get them to stop. So once again, this story, if we're going to restore our politics, trust in the state, trust in, in politics itself, there's got to be much more decisive action to stop the boats.
But that's not happening. It simply isn't. And with time after time after time, we're going to smash the gangs. They're not smashing anything apart from records.
Look, this smashing the gangs thing, I was always sceptical about. I mean, there are criminal actions and they need to be stopped. That could have been one minor aspect of the story. The major aspect of the story is we have the military power to stop boats And I'm just saying that I'm arguing that we've got to actually get on with that.
You're advocating the Navy and the Army. You're advocating drones taking boats out.
Well, I'm actually saying that they can target the boats and say, return to France. My actual argument is about France. We give them money, they don't fulfil their obligations, and the logic of this is if they cannot control their border, we're going to have to.
We should defund the French.
Yeah, completely. I mean, there's got to be far greater understanding and articulation of that France is undermining our national security. This is the big issue.
So, Michael, let's turn to you. And before we continue the parliament of the Labour Party, it has to be pointed out that Rishi Sunak was disastrous on this. Linton on News. I went to Linton on News. I sat in kitchens with mothers who were crying about the prospect of these men in their town. History repeats itself. Both governments got it disastrously wrong.
The truth of even Alsatian learns from its mistakes. What is this government doing? They're going on about smashing the gang, smashing the gang. The gang that people want to smash in this country is the Labour gang. I mean, that is the gang that actually people are furious with.
It's no different to your government, and you were the Attorney General.
The difference is,
though,
Maurice, they tried it, and now this Labour government are doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's why I say that learn from the mistakes. There was the best will to do it on the previous occasion. This is a legal issue where the legal system has blocked every attempt. There were numerous attempts by several governments to do this. What needs root and branch reform is not going in the dead of night and hiding a few people and, you know, in pitch darkness with a police escort and then imposing their will on the people of Crowborough and other parts of the country. That underhand, clandestine way of manoeuvring is completely the wrong thing to do. What needs to actually happen is that you need to look at the legal system which is causing this problem in the first place. Because what will happen now is lawyers will say, are those facilities in good enough condition? The previous Conservative government found that they were blocked from housing people because of that in some cases. Then they'll say, if it is in good enough condition, is the security good enough for the local people? And you heard Gaz saying that it isn't. And then you'll have a legal team saying, have the planning permissions been gone through correctly? Has the government messed up on all of that?
So you've got to waffle. Time after time we hear the same nonsense.
That's what I mean. The point is you've got to do something to overturn the legal blocks.
About treaties and rights of refugees and asylum. I mean,
of course,
that's the international.
This problem is going to continue, no matter what colour of government it is, unless a government sorts out the legal blocks that have prevented us from doing anything about it.
Leaving the ECHR.
Leaving the ECHR, which I've been talking about for a long time and which is now Tory party policy. And also, we're going to have to be pretty robust on conventions and treaties and all the rest of it, which is also used by the legal system to stop the public will from happening.
OK, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Just to reiterate, Gaz there clearly was impassioned, and nobody is saying that everybody in these camps is committing crimes or is a criminal waiting to happen. But you do understand the frustrations of Crowborough residents such as Gaz. Gentlemen, thank you very much. A lively start to tonight's show. Now, coming up next, a huge day in politics, drama, because the former Labour MP Andrew Gwynn is resigned from his central Manchester seat, paving the way perhaps for what could be an epic challenge to Sir Keir Starmer from Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham. Could this be the end of Sir Keir Starmer? That's next.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to GB's Tonight with me, Martin Daubney. Now, astonishing news today as it emerged that the former Labour Party Minister and MP Andrew Gwynn he's resigned his central Manchester seat, paving the way for what could be an epic challenge to Keir Starmer from Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham. But let's take a look now at electoral calculators' projections for his seat of Gorton and Denton. You can see quite clearly we are looking very much at a three-horse race. The Labour Party, the Greens and Reform UK. They all have a chance of winning this right in Labour's own backyard. Now, here's a second image that compounds that very phenomenon. A nowcast projection for that seat showing Labour could take it by a fag paper, but it is absolutely wide open. Well, let's discuss this now on my panel. I'm still joined by the former Tory Attorney General, Sir Michael Ellis, and also the founder of Blue Labour, Lord Maurice Glassman. Maurice, if I may start with you again. Yeah. This has been talked about for a long time, the plot perhaps to oust Sir Keir Starmer. Andy Burnham on manoeuvres here, he surely would be a shoo-in for this seat as a candidate. Do you think he'd be a better leader than Sir Keir Starmer?
No, I absolutely don't think that. And
why not?
Because he doesn't offer any distinctive ideological perspectives that would be distinct from this. Labour's going through a very big crisis. We learned from the Conservatives that just changing leaders is no remedy to a lack of direction in government policy. I actually think this week that Keir Starmer handled the whole Greenland Trump thing in an extremely diplomatic and effective way. Didn't get bounced like the Germans and the French and the EU into performative reciprocal tariffs. He kind of kept his nerve. I think he did well on that. But the solution for Labour is not any of the supposed leadership challenges. The issue for Labour is the rupture with the working class, which is real. And this guy's resigned. He's opened up a by-election, and there's no saying which way it will go. I know this seat.
The die is cast now.
I know this seat in Gorton, and the working class are disaffected from Labour. It's got a very, very big Muslim aspect to the constituency. Yeah. There's no saying that they're going to go with Labour. I think this, once again, this is all the melodrama. The solution is not a change of leadership. The solution is to restore Labour to itself, to be a Labour government and to restore its relationship. Well, that means building up the armed forces. That means genuine increases in defence spending. That means securing the borders.
None of that is going to happen before this by-election. And that's the huge headache you've got. And you're absolutely right to point out that Denton and Gorton is very split. Denton is a white working class part. Gorton is a very Muslim area. A pro-Gaza candidate could do where the Greens. We've heard that George Galloway might throw his hat into the ring.
I don't doubt it for a second.
Bedlam. My point is this: there is no such thing anymore as a safe Labour seat. Even Andy Burnham could lose in his own backyard.
Well, that's the possibility that is now emerging very much. I mean, I could completely see George Galloway making hay in this seat. Very much
What's fascinating about this, though, Martin and Maurice, is that what you've got here is a situation where nobody's talking about what policies Andy Burnham might bring in, how he would be different. It's just a different face because there's a recognition that Keir Starmer is incredibly unpopular. No one's actually, deep diving into what Andy Burnham stands for. But the other point is fascinating to watch, which is that how the Labour machine is trying to stop him by talking about, obstacles and, form filling and potential all-women shortlists and other ways of sort of blocking him, heading him off at the pass, if you like. Because they're fearful of this battle between him and Keir Starmer for the leadership and the premiership of this country.
Isn't that the point, Maurice? These are grave days for the Labour Party. You have to admit. They are grave, grave days. Sir Keir Starmer is very, very unpopular. He's 2 percentile of being the least popular Prime Minister ever, just behind Liz Truss, right after her mini-budget. So a lot of people are saying it is time for a change of leadership, and that's what this by-election could precipitate a dramatic challenge towards Sir Keir Starmer.
Yeah, and I'm sick of it. I mean, I was sick of... We spoke at party conference. Remember Andy Burnham arrived in a limousine and left with a blanket on his head. All this stuff, it destroyed the Conservative Party, who changed leader twice, and there was no significant difference. What there's got to be is a reorientation. I'm a loyalist completely, a Labour loyalist. I'm a Bevin-ite. I'm expecting Labour defence industrial policy, secure the borders. That's the only way out of this mess. All this leadership talk is a complete distraction.
Very quickly,
wishing won't make it so, though. It looks like it's going to happen.
Very quickly, Sir Michael, the Tory vote here is a scintilla. Should they stand aside?
No, it's important that there's a Conservative candidate in every seat in the country.
But they could let Labour or the Greens through?
No, it's important as a point of principle that people in any seat...
It'd be a wasted vote, then.
It's never a wasted vote. Votes are always very important. People have fought hard for votes. But there are small parties in that seat that may make a real impact on the Labour vote. There's no such thing... This is where we do agree. There's no such thing as a safe Labour seat, not with this government.
No, but this is significant. I mean, the Conservatives... Everybody's talking in the media about the revival, but here, on the ground, in a seat which did have a significant Conservative vote historically, they're nowhere.
I don't think this was ever a Tory seat, Maurice.
But it had a significant vote.
Gentlemen, we have to leave it there and cross live now to Greenland, where GB News' US correspondent Steve Edgington is there for us. Steve, welcome to the show. You've been there throughout the day on what Donald Trump has called a big, beautiful block of ice. And now the huge question is, what do the Greenlanders make of this situation? You're inside the front room of one of the locals. Over to you.
That's right, Martin. I'm here with Liv, who is a local Greenlander who is very concerned about what Donald Trump is doing and has done. But I think she's relieved, about the deal and everything. Yeah. But Liv is actually here to show us some of the Greenlandic culture. Yes. We've actually got in front of us some of your fantastic artwork, but also potentially even some Greenlandic food. So why don't you explain to our viewers at home what it's like to live in Greenland, what the food is, just give us a bit of background about the culture.
Yeah, the culture in Greenland is that we are hunters. We can hunt our own food every day, and this is a free country, and the culture of Greenland, we are very proud people. We own the land. You cannot buy land here in Greenland. So we own the animals and the things that are in the sea. So this is the seal fat. That is preventing scurvy. This is how we survived in many hundred of years. And this is, if you eat 3 of these,
yeah, so
it's just like having a glass of milk.
Yeah, okay. So obviously Greenland has a very proud culture, and it sounds like this seal fat is very important for Greenlanders to eat. So maybe we should have some very quickly. Okay, well, I think we have to leave it there, actually, because we've got some sound issues and technical issues. But thank you so much, Liv, for joining us. Appreciate it.
Well, it's a shame that we had to interrupt your beautiful supper there, Steve Edgington. I'd like to see you tucking into that seal fat. Go on, get stuck in, son. You can't get away with it, Steve. Get stuck in.
Have some. Even if you can't hear it, you can see us. You can see us eating the delicious seal fat.
Very small
lovely.
piece.
This is what we should be eating in England. I can take a bigger piece if you want. Delicious.
Thank you very much, Steve Eddington there, live from a kitchen in Greenland. No doubt Donald Trump would like to make a feast of that country. Thank you very, very much indeed. Now, thank you to my panel also. Now, coming up in just a moment's time.
Mr. Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, has decided that he wants to give the Chagos Islands, with our military base, to Mauritius.
Yes, that's the Keir Starmer is lambasted on the United States Senate over the Chagos deal. Reports are suggesting the Trump administration is now considering cutting intelligence sharing with the UK to try and torpedo this deal. That's next.
Evening. Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. I've got more wind, more rain and more weather warnings to tell you about. It's been a very soggy day for some, and the rain continuing to fall in eastern Scotland from this weather front. There's another one draped across Wales and Northern Ireland, and this low now approaching from the southwest is going to bring more rain and strong winds into the southwest later tonight. Yellow warnings in place across Scotland and Northern Ireland, the rain turning increasingly to snow over the hills in eastern Scotland with the wind blowing that snow in. That means blizzards on parts of the A9. The next band of rain tracking northwards into parts of South Wales and southwest England, getting very gusty here through the night as well. Temperatures mostly holding up a few degrees above freezing. On to Friday, it's looking a little drier, certainly initially for Northern Ireland, but a wet start for the south of Wales, much of southeast England. Soggy again for most of Scotland. A rain warning remains in place, although, as I said, increasingly over the hills turning to snow. Over the Western Highlands, actually, for many it'll be dry through much of Friday. Some sunny spells here, but a cold, blustery wind bringing in the feed from the North Sea, bringing in the cloud and the rain, and the winds picking up in the southwest, as I said, through the night. A blustery day for southwest England and South Wales. A wet start for South Wales. That band of rain moves northwards, and then a whole host of more showers come in here too. The ground is saturated, so extra rain hasn't really got anywhere to go. A lot of spray, a lot of surface water on the roads through the course of tomorrow afternoon and through the evening rush hour. That rain moving into northern England and Northern Ireland. Something a bit drier in between, as I said, with some shelter. Northwest Scotland not doing bad for dry weather during the course of tomorrow. It's a similar picture on Saturday. We've still got low pressure nearby, gusty winds, plenty of showers for Wales and southwest England. Continued risk of flooding here, as there is in eastern Scotland, as the wet weather continues, and still further snow on the hills, and still a brisk wind, making it feel chilly. All the weather warnings on the Met Office website.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Now, welcome back to GB News Tonight. Now, here's a wee reminder of the moments that may well have sparked the Starmer-Trump Chagos Islands row.
I don't understand why America has not been more forthright in saying this is a bad idea.
I don't know that the president has spoken directly to the issue or as forcefully enough to your point, but I would assume that he shares the same concern as you and I do about that.
It does indeed appear that following Nigel Farage's conversation with the US Speaker there, Johnson, Donald Trump is all of a sudden enraged by this surrender deal. Reports today are suggesting that the US could cut intelligence sharing if that deal does go ahead. But Donald Trump isn't the only American politician upset by this surrender.
Mr. Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, has decided that he wants to give the Chagos Islands, with our military base, to Mauritius. The only reason he's doing this is because he feels guilty because the United Nations has said that the United Kingdom should be ashamed of its history and ashamed that that it one time owned colonies. I'm sorry he feels guilty. He needs to go buy an emotional support pony.
Yeah, that was the US Senator John Kennedy there lambasting Keir Starmer on his Chagos surrender deal, suggesting he gets an emotional support pony. Well, I'm joined now by the editor of the Sunday Telegraph, the excellent columnist Alistair Heath, of course, as well as my panel. That's the former Tory Attorney General Sir Michael Ellis and the founder of Blue Labour, Lord Maurice Glassman. Alistair, I should turn to you first. There's been such drama of the Chagos Islands for so long. They seem to have been at the 11th hour. Could there be a dramatic last-minute reprieve in the form of Donald Trump?
Well, there could be, but I suspect it's not going to happen, tragically. I think this whole saga has been a complete disaster, a complete betrayal from beginning to end. I think it's probably gone too far now for it to be stopped. I think it's great that Trump has finally seen the light on this. I mean, it's astonishing, frankly, that he hadn't seen the light previously. I suspect it's all tied up with the Greenland issue and so on. The problem is now that he's backtracked to some degree, at least, on the Greenland issue, this other issue of Chagos may fall by the wayside also. But look, clearly, it's extremely bad news for America. It's extremely bad news for Britain. Now, I think Trump's been talking a lot of nonsense in recent days on a number of issues, including insulting us and threatening us. But I think on Chagos, he's 100% right. It's 100% right that the American president should say something about this because it involves the Americans, it involves the security of the West, and it involves an absolutely stupid sort of handing over of power to a country that's far too close to China for everybody's good.
Are we seeing here a complete change of the world order, the bureaucratic class of Keir Starmer surrendering, if you like, to international law, to compliance, and the ultra-nationalist Donald Trump says, I don't care about that, I want to put my country first. If only we had a leader like Donald Trump.
Well, Chagos, the surrender of Chagos clearly comes from what I would call a deranged attachment to an extreme form of international law, which is basically replacing rule by, replacing democracy and nation states, generally speaking, by the rule of unelected left-wing lawyers, radical activists, basically. I think that whole thing has been a complete disaster wherever it has been tried. It has eroded British democracy. It has led to all sorts of pathologies and problems. I think on this issue, Trump is finally belatedly telling the truth and saying the right thing. I think, generally speaking, I've been quite annoyed by Trump in recent days. I think he's done a lot of great things. For example, I think the way he bombed the Iranian nuclear sites was an incredible achievement, for example. He's been great on woke and on other issues, but I think he's been very bad on Greenland and threatening Britain with a trade war and stuff like that. That's just not right. But I think on Chagos, I hope he does more than just spout off, but unfortunately, I'm just not too confident. I think the Starmer juggernaut on this is sort of out of control.
Donald Trump, the Trump regime is now threatening to have a cessation of sharing of intelligence. This is the latest chapter in what appears to be a terminal decline in the special relationship under Sir Keir Starmer.
Yes, I mean, I don't really think there's a special relationship now between Britain and America. I like America. I think it's a great country. I think Britain and America have to be very close. Actually, I think Starmer is actually right in some respects, but to try and keep this going. But the problem is Starmer is a terrible prime minister and he's doing terrible things. Chagos is a complete disaster for the security of the West, for Britain's interests. It's also, by the way, smacks of extreme hypocrisy, because Starmer has rightly defended the right of Denmark and Greenland to determine their own affairs, but he has no interest in the rights of the people who live in the Chagos Islands, for example, to determine there's huge double standards here. But I think this is a very important moment for Britain. I think, sadly, this whole saga has probably gone too far to be stopped.
So, Michael Ellis, as a former Attorney General, could I ask you, is there a legal way that Trump could torpedo this?
It is technically still possible. The bill has not gone through Parliament, has not received royal assent. But as Alistair was saying, this is the 11th hour. It's the 59th minute of the 11th hour. It's really late in the day. I do wish the Americans had cottoned on to the seriousness of this Chagos Islands disaster earlier and put pressure on the British government. Starmer's policy on this has been a disaster of biblical proportions to British strategic interests. It also smacks of rampant hypocrisy. As Alistair was referring to, the Chagosians are completely disregarded by this government. And the same arguments have not been made for Greenland, and rightly so in Greenland's case. So here we see now a situation where the long-term strategic interests of the West are seriously misaffected, if you like, by this decision. Unless it can be reversed at the last moment, Mauritius, which frankly is an ally of China and where China has a very strong influence, it's the wrong thing at the wrong time for the wrong people.
Lord Maurice Glassman, not for the first time tonight, I'm going to ask you to try and defend what's been a widely perceived terrible decision by the Labour government.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to defend it because, I mean, I've got a strange story to tell. When I was at the inauguration last year, I received a very strong message from the new Trump administration that they opposed this. And I communicated that message. And then I got no, it's fine. I am from the Trump administration too. So there's been a real incoherence in this. I was assured, because I really went through it, and I completely couldn't understand the deal, that this was fine with the United States, that they'd given it the OK. So this is the problem, Alistair, with arbitrary royal absolutism, is that there's changes of view. By the way, just to back up what Alistair said, I mean, this is based on a quite extreme ruling on an opinion. This is not binding international law.
It's advisory.
Well, it's an interpretation of an advisory ruling. You're a lawyer. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no reason for us to do this beyond quite an extreme form. You know, I've long said to you, Martin, that I believe in the rule of law, not the rule of lawyers. This is an example of that, and I really think that there's still space and time to just say this was a mistaken move initiated by your government. I mean,
no, they only started talking about it. They didn't actually do it. It's this lot that's done it. And the reality, we've got a lexocracy developing here. You know, you've heard of a meritocracy and an aristocracy. This is a rule by lawyers. And it's not a rule of law at all, because this is a legal fiction. This whole issue around Chagos has been an absolute legal fiction.
OK, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Alistair Heath, Michael Ellis, Lord Maurice Glassman, magnificent, the three of you, as ever. Thank you very much indeed. Now, coming up in just a moment's time...
That man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on. Get out of my pub.
One of the few genuinely joyous moments of lockdowns. You remember that? For tonight's finale, I'll be joined by the pub landlord who famously ejected Sir Keir Starmer from his boozer in Bath. And guess what? He's told the press today he'd ban him again. That's next.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Much of Europe at the moment looking as unsettled as the UK. Spells of heavy rain for Greece, windy in Iberia, and those strong winds also containing cold air. So they're going to bring showers and longer spells of rain to Portugal in particular during Friday, with some hill and mountain snow as a consequence. Rain easing off for a time across Italy, but further spells of wet weather expected into the weekend, and we've got a lot of showers, heavy downpours throughout much of Greece. Fresh snow, though, for the Alps.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Baby show.
Welcome back to GB News Tonight with me, your host, Martin Daubney. Now for the magnificent finale, the moment you've all been waiting for.
That man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on. Calm yourself down. Get out of my pub.
A genuinely magnificent moment during a dark time because, of course, that was Rod Humphreys, the landlord of the Raven Boozer in Bath, who famously ejected Sir Keir Starmer, then, of course, the leader of the opposition from his pub because of his lack of opposition to lockdowns. Well, here we are nearly 5 years on, and Mr Humphreys has told the press that he would do it all over again, considering Labour's brutal war on pubs over the past 18 months. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I present you now with the man, the legend, the magnificent Rod Humphreys, the landlord of the Raven in Bath. First of all, can I thank you, sir, for a genuine moment of glory during lockdown. It cheered a lot of us up in a dark, dark time when God knows we needed it. But Rod, you've doubled down. You're back. Why?
Oh, I've just been getting on with my life. It's just the press occasionally remembers me and phones me up, so I'm here.
And so what is it this time around? Obviously, pubs, we covered it a lot on this show. Pubs are going through a terrible, terrible, terrible time. One per day, closing, even more at this rate. What is it about you that's kind of got you motivated about the hard time that Rachel Reeves is dishing out to hospitality?
Well, it's not me specifically. I think every pub in the country is feeling it, and it's not new. You know, from obviously all of the lockdown and the COVID thing was appalling for us. But we all feel that we're part of the fabric of the country, an important part of the fabric of the country, us and our customers, and we all feel under attack in many, many little ways. The amount of regulation, the amount of tax, the amount of interference it's unpleasant. I think I speak for enough people when I say, oh, God, I'd wish they'd all just go away and leave us alone.
I think that's a wish that a lot of people watching this programme would no doubt share, but it's an unlikely one. And I wonder, actually, if during COVID we saw an authoritarian state telling us what we could and couldn't do. Yeah. Is there a part of that going on again? Now, I can't help but feel it's not just about taxation. It's about being a Puritan.
I entirely agree. To a degree, it feels as if they got the bit between their teeth and they've never entirely stopped. It feels like the intention behind this is extremely unpleasant.
And is it not just about, as I say, the control of business, but I've spoken with so many landlords on this show and landladies who feel that politicians don't like pubs because the public gather there. They talk about plotting.
We talk to each other.
Precisely.
And we talk about them. It's true. We compare notes. And yes, in a good pub, everybody mixes and everybody talks. And we find out what we think, which gives us confidence to talk to them and oppose them.
And what are they telling you at the moment, Rod? And please bear in mind, we're not allowed to swear.
Yeah, no. It's universal, I would say, that the ordinary people around me are fed up. I think it's reasonable to say we're poorer, we're tireder, we're sicker, we have less confidence in the future. Can I tell you something that is very important in my world? Obviously, I'm a pub. That means I employ a lot of young people. When I'm going to be 60 this year, when I set out in life, perhaps it was the same for you, there was a path ahead of me. Yeah. I knew that it was possible if I worked, if I got my act together, I could buy a house, get married, have children. For all the many, many young people I employ, that's been closed off. And that's a terrible, terrible thing. Our world now it's between the cost of housing, the situation with the economy, the general feeling of the country, the confidence and the path people have to go forwards. It feels like a tragedy.
We have to leave it there. Rod Humphries, if you want to know how to run the country, ask a pub landlord. There, we just had it. Thank you for talking to us tonight. Thank you for what you did back in the day. It's a pleasure. That's the governor there of the Raven in Bath, Rod Humphries. Quick nibble from my panel, Maurice Glassman. Let's get to you first. Not for the first time tonight. I'm asking you to defend a pretty indefensible government. The boozers are getting shafted by Labour.
It's incredible. I mean, the Labour Party was born in the pub. I mean, literally born in the pub. Public houses, places of public conversation. I remember when I joined Labour, always after any constituency meeting, it was down the pub. I mean, what's going on here is another example of Labour being estranged from its very roots.
And I wonder, Sir Michael, if this is an example of, well, it could be last orders for the government.
Well, this is a really serious matter. I think, you actually wanted to get that joke in, didn't you? The last orders. You were waiting for that opportunity. Look, it's really serious, actually, in that, you're quite right, Martin. This is something that resonates with everyone. Even people who are not interested in politics don't talk about Chagos, don't talk about other issues. They use a pub. They care about pubs. And this is where people socialise in and up and around the country. Very important. I noticed that Kemi Badenoch's Conservative Party has rightly focused on this and said they're going to do it very differently, they're going to support pubs and so on. But where you see a disconnect between politicians and public houses, that is a real damaging disconnect for Labour.
Gentlemen, you've been superb tonight. Thank you very much. But I do have to ring time on the pair of you. But now it's opening time for Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg, State of the Nation.
Let's have a look in.
Time, gentlemen, please. But whilst we're on pubs, I went last week to William Sitwell's pub, the White Hart in Wiveliscombe. It is fantastic. Everyone should go there.
What did you drink?
Wonderful service. I had a bottle of wine. I'm ciders, brew my own. Anyway, enough of that.
What's on your show?
What am I talking about? Crowborough. And Labour completely getting along and sick. I'm sorry, Maurice, but once again, what people want is for illegal immigration to stop, not them to be housed in different places. Closing the hotels is no good if you're just putting them into army barracks or into houses of multiple occupation.
As Rishi Sunak suggested.
And Labour just doesn't get it. Well, I'm not sure Rishi Sunak got it either, but that's another matter. We can discuss that on other occasions. But even better, I've got the one and only Andrew Rosendale coming on to talk to him about his change of party, his move to reform. He's a brilliant MP, a wonderfully nice man, and I'll be really interested to find out why he's left the great party.
Perhaps he'll convince you to defect to Reform UK, Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg. Up next, State of the Nation. Thanks, my panel. You've been superb. I'll be back tomorrow 3 till 6 p.m. State of the Nation is up next.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Evening. Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. I've got more wind, more rain and more weather warnings to tell you about. It's been a very soggy day for some, and the rain continuing to fall in eastern Scotland from this weather front. There's another one draped across Wales and Northern Ireland, and this low now approaching from the southwest is going to bring more rain and strong winds into the southwest later tonight. Yellow warnings in place across Scotland and Northern Ireland. The rain turning increasingly to snow over the hills in eastern Scotland, with the wind blowing that snow in. That means blizzards on parts of the A9. The next band of rain tracking northwards into parts of South Wales and southwest England, getting very gusty here through the night as well. Temperatures mostly holding up a few degrees above freezing. On to Friday, it's looking a little drier, certainly initially for Northern Ireland, but a wet start